So let us know what you think. The question of the tonight is, do you think Medicis was wrong for his answer? And in your estimation of what you see and understand to the black community, do you think women tend to hold their men down more? Are they more loyal? Are they more forgiving? Or do you think men equally hold down their women? Let us know in the comment section. I'll start with my own answer. I feel as though black women, from my estimation, do hold men down. I think men have a more zero tolerance for acts that are not loyal. As an example, I feel like I've heard of and I've seen a lot of quote-unquote infidelity issues in the community, and it seems as though black women are more amenable to forgiving, but I know I've heard of when a woman cheats on a man, it's a done deal, end of discussion, she's out of there. So what do you think, Juan? And I'm going to read the comments off IG while you give me your thoughts.
So I think more so what was alarming, if you're watching YouTube or Facebook, give me a shout out, let me know if you're out there. But I think more so that was what's alarming to her, and this might be more of a men are from Mars, women are from Venus kind of situation, to base off what I saw, which was, I understand why she's upset because she held him down while he was in jail and all of that, and then for him to ask the question, I mean, even when they talked about the Breakfast Club, a lot of them was like, dude should have just lied at least, and was like, yo.
Well, he asked her, he said, do you want me to lie? He said, I can't go off of what I would have done.
Right? So I think for him, he was thinking overly rational, maybe like a man. And what he said, instead of appeasing her heart, which he may have needed in that moment, I think what he was thinking was more or less like being rational, like, yeah, look, I don't know if I could keep it 100, or I don't know if I could keep it real. Yo, thanks, Marvin. I see you. Shout out Louisiana.
So everybody on IG, Facebook is now working. We got some comments on Facebook, just FYI. Okay.
Yeah, so, but, going back to it, I think that maybe Mendices was thinking overly rational and like, I don't know what I would have done in that situation. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would like to say I would have, but blah, 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 blah. We know Papoose held down Remy Ma when she was in jail. I mean, so we know that black men are able to hold black women down, but we've seen this spiral of conversation now saying, the sisters are the only one holding down black men. Black men, y'all always run away from sisters, yada, yada, yada.
So some of the comments are absolutely men will cheat till the cows come home. A woman is a WW3. Somebody said Facebook didn't work for us. My estimation is that I think black men tend to have a standard, and when you do not meet that standard, they are definitely not as forgiving. I think they will hold their standard to a T. I.e., if a man expects you to be loyal and not cheat, that's what he expects. The moment you do that, he's done. I.e., if a man expects you to hold him down, the moment you don't, he got a problem. I think black women, I don't know if it's the fear of being lonely. I don't know if we feel like we have a lot to lose. I.e., if you're not the primary breadwinner and you decide that your man has done you wrong, you might be thinking, well, if I leave him, how will I be able to provide for me and my kids? It's more advantageous for me to stay. I do think black women have shown more signs of solidarity, of forgiving. I also can say that I think for black women, based upon what I've seen in social media and programming, and we know that that's all for sensationalism, it does seem as though they tend to stay and they say they forgive, but they also tend to repeat some of the hurt that they've had in previous years, and maybe they get stuck when someone offends them. That's a possibility that I think
the women can't break out of the mode of what happened and really break through to a new season of their life, is what you're saying.
Yes.
In so many words.
And I think that because so many black women have forgiven men in the public eye of infidelity, a lot of black men feel like, well, I know Brian my boy Brian cheated at work, so of course I can cheat and my girl gonna forgive me. Like, black women forgive. That's what black women do. I do think that there is a segment of black men who think it's a common thing that black men cheat and a black woman ain't going nowhere. I do think that there is some men that think that way.
Yeah, I think that you might have I think there are those there, but I think that right there is a universal issue too, right? I think too often in the conversation it's put on black men that black men are in a position to where they just think, oh, she's not going to leave. But then the numbers don't support that black men should possibly believe that, because we know that only 1 in 4 black women are going to get married. right? And of those 4, or that 25% that will get married, 80% of them are going to initiate divorce within 5 years of marriage.
And that's what he said. So Christopher asked a great question, and I want y'all all to answer. Christopher says
he asked a really good question.
Why are y'all so loyal? I.e., why are black women so loyal? I think we are loyal blindly and to a T. I think people stay in toxic relationships because either we don't want to be lonely. In our community, it's been taught to get a man. Like, it's a jab from one woman to another. That's why you ain't got no man, girl. That's like a big jab. Like,
yeah, that's like, those are fighting words.
That's fighting words. So I don't know if it's because we've seen other black women stay with black men, but I don't know why we're so loyal to a fault. I feel like a standard should be held, or maybe it's when people were dating, men were able to get away with things so they knew in marriage. Shoot, I got away with all of that during dating. You knew what it was. And now that we're married, I'm still getting away with it. I don't know the answer. Ladies, why are we so loyal?
Shout out, Karen. I see you in the building.
I'm going to read some more comments. Lana says, black women are writers, period. Think about how we treat others during moments of protest. Obviously, we are loyal to our own detriment if you're posing that question. Well, yeah. What? I want to hear from the men. Why are black women so loyal? I want to hear from y'all.
What was the last comment?
Obviously, talking about black women.
Oh, that's Karen. Shout out Karen in the building. I see you.
We are loyal to our own detriment if you're posing that question. I want to hear from black men. Why do you think black women are so loyal?
I don't think they're as loyal as advertised. Y'all go ahead.
Why go over the guns tonight? He's trying to get people riled up.
Hey, listen. I like to hear your comments, but just giving my opinion as a black man. Now, and there's 2 comments from black men. To be fair, Marvin said agree, but throw at each other's faces is hard. But not to throw in each other's faces is hard, right? Talking about black women's hurt. Herman said, yes, I agree with you, Katrina. Black women are a lot more forgiving than black men, just my personal opinion. Herman said, get a man, yes. That has been the mantra for black women. So I will say this. I don't think black women are as holding us down as much as they claim, right? For those that seen our live or our stories, I posted the question, what would you call a black man who abuses drugs? Would you call him a black king? If your father was a black man who abused drugs, would we celebrate him later in life? Curious to hear what y'all would say, but I can tell you the answer. It would be absolutely no. When a black man messes up, no matter how far he reaches in his past, black women will be right there, front and center, to bring that black man down. Right? I don't care what it is. I won't even name drop celebrities for the sake of not being that salacious. But we've known many of black men, entertainment, politics, whatever, if they get in trouble, or if we find out they've been in trouble, we'll use their past to say, or to further demonize them, right? Meanwhile, a black woman could be a crackhead, a black woman can abandon her children, a black woman can do all these things, and the media will accept black women still and say, this is a story of perseverance. That one that we should hold her accountable to for the rest of her life, because look at her story. Look what she came from, right? You got the young lady, Satonia Brown, what's her name? The young lady that was in Tennessee, she was arrested. She was actually being sex trafficked. She killed the guy who was trafficking her. And we celebrate her. She's got married to a whole gospel singer and everything. And I don't have a problem celebrating her. I really don't. But would we look at the man the same way? It was like, yeah, you shouldn't have been running in them streets. You shouldn't have joined the gang or whatever thing a young man could have gone into. A lot of times we don't celebrate the adversity in a man's background. But a woman gets it. And that's why I quoted Tupac in his song Dear Mama. He says, dear mama, you was even when you was a crack fiend, mama, you still was a black queen, mama. Mm-hmm. This is a man celebrating his mama. We seen time and time again at the award shows. Very rarely do you see black women speaking out so often about what their fathers did for them, right? When a black woman wins an award, you don't hear her run out and say, oh yeah, I want to thank my black father. I want to thank my father. Most people thank their mother. And we know constantly all of these like celebrity men and athletes, they always give appreciation to their mama. So you can't say in one breath, because you're looking at isolated situations or anecdotal experiences, and say black men don't hold down black women, but we've seen constantly how black men will put black women on a pedestal in various situations. And black men won't get the same treatment back. Every time black women talk about how they hold a black man down, they want to refer to struggle love. But then, okay, that's one of those situations where black men, you guys need to step up and actually commit to relationship with these women. Don't be out there with them for 10 years and you won't marry them, because the stats say somebody ain't getting married. Only 1 in 4 black women get married. So if we had to do the numbers, 100 black women, 25 are getting married. The other 75, y'all ain't ever going to see marriage. You ain't going to get a chance to be widowed or divorced. You'll never see it. So now we're down to the 25, right? And of the 25, we know that 80% of them, so basically 20 of them, are going to end their marriage in divorce.
Leaving 5?
Leaving 5 left to actually have a successful marriage. To death do them part.
Let me read some of these comments. So
I know I done ticked a lot of y'all off, but I'm just saying, those are the facts, those are the numbers, and I'm not trying to create discourse, but these are the things we need to be thinking when we're trying to make a stronger black community.
So Karen says, oh, you're choosing violence. Juana says, we have more empathy than any other race. I don't know about that. No, I don't agree, Juan. So then Chris says, I think women have been leaders in our community for so long that they take the mentality into their relationship. Being a good leader requires compassion, sacrifice, and forgiveness. And then Lana says, black women aren't desirable to others, and that's not on us. I would say yes and no. So I do, to answer Lana's, black women aren't desirable to others. I think that to most other races, they look at us as overweight. I don't make the rules, but I think the way we are shaped, the way we hold weight with body, whatever. When you talk to other men, like I have relation with white men at work. They like thin women. When you look at Asian community, all their women are small and thin. I think the only other community that might like a shapely woman might be like Middle Eastern or might be like Latino, but outside of that, most men universally like thin women. And I think because we are typically leaders in our community and we're raising babies while daddy's in jail or daddy was a Rolling Stone, we are bosses at work, bosses at home. So I think for a lot of men, the reason why we're undesirable is because they don't see us as submissive. Like I know a lot of white women who have the role of, I'm a boss at work, but when I go home, I just let Bill do everything. I let him make all the decisions. In a black household, we'll hear this dynamic of, well, you can't tell me what to do. I'm bringing in 50% of the bills, and rightfully so. A man can't tell you what to do. You're grown. So I think that the standards for marriage and what that looks like as far as leadership in a home, I think has been so skewed in the black community because we don't really have any black male leaderships. I mean, from my experience, a lot of my friends said my dad, and maybe with the exception of a few other people close to me, didn't even have a dad at home. So to see a man assert himself, have some authority, and be the patriarch is like very rare in the black community. So, because even in holidays, think about holidays, when, everybody comes over and when do you see the patriarch of the family say, I said what I said, this is how we're going to move. Normally at holidays, women are making decisions. Yeah,
and I think something I have to bring up there too is there's a lot of ask for black men to lead. But then when black men assume a throne or a position of power, they normally get met with resistance from women, especially in our community. They get met with resistance from women because the men are trying to be men. I made this comment to a friend. Actually, I was talking to Karen earlier. And I said, what we typically see is that if a black man with a command, not a nasty voice, not yelling at, but with a commanding voice says anything, the message has to be verified, and then the messenger has to be verified. Look at we seen this with like people like Dr. Umar Johnson. We seen this with countless black voices that try to lead in social activism or any type of justice or start talking about marriage. Look at Kevin Samuels. Look at how people even treated Steve Harvey initially. He wasn't met with open arms at first when he was talking about marriage. A lot of them was like, he talking about we got to be made up and we got to be this and we got to be that. Who is he? Remember? And they have to verify the message. They have to verify the messenger before they'll even follow. But are we doing the same when we listen to the sisters?
Well,
and these are the things I want to be thinking points, not to argue, but to say, dang, you know what? Have I ever seen the patriarch of the family get his just due over the matriarch of the family? And you got to start asking these questions. And then you have to see, like, okay, how do we start fixing this?
Well,
there's some good comments on Facebook.
There are some good comments on Facebook. So go ahead and read those, and then I'll go.
Herman made a good point. Shout out to my dad. For you guys don't know, Herman was born and raised in London, and he made a good point. He said it's interesting that that my black friends in England, not one of them married to a black woman, but they're all pro-black on social media. Ooh. What's up with that? And I want to talk about marriage stats between interracial race.
Child with the UK. See, Mr. Herman got us to another level.
Yeah,
There's layers to this.
And then he's talking about let's be real with it. And then Jasmine thought that you made some good points. And then Herman said the angry black woman stigma also will turn men off of all races to include black men.
Black men. So I want to read some comments off IG, then I want to react to what Juan said. So Chris said, not to mention the black community's relationship with the church and what the Bible says about divorce. There are black women in the church. There are more black women in the church than there are black men. That is factual. Chris also said, so the church's perspective on marriage has a huge impact on how women approach their relationships. I agree. So I do believe in church that if you get married, you are taught you are not supposed to get divorced, and you're going to stay regardless of whatever. I think, too, Lana says, no, I think we are undesirable because they don't bring anything to the table, and so we aren't as accepting of what was given in the past. Chris said 100. Lana says, black men have trouble leading because they aren't put in those roles. Kevin Samuels is not a great example, said Lana. Chris said, no, a black woman's voice carries a lot more weight. I think a black woman's voice does carry a lot more weight. I also think that...
In what aspect does a black woman's voice carry more weight? Because the numbers would say kids do better in a household where there's a man leading. That's a fact. That's not debatable. That's not even up for debate.
Well, I think when she says carries more weight, as far as like today, as far as like a broad perspective, like because black women have been seen to be leaders, I think naturally, like we're looking at Kamala Harris, we're looking at Stacey Abrams, like
Kamala Harris, who just spoke out against black people in a way that wasn't favorable, even though we got her into that place of office. Had to say that.
So,
sorry.
What I would say is that overall, I do think black women tend to hold black men down more. I think we are more loyal. I do think that we are aggressive, and we are aggressive due to our environment. Because we realize most of us are in homes where there are no men. So we realize we got to get up here, we got to get out here, we got to get it. So from the trauma of not having a man and trying to provide as though we are a man and a woman, I think naturally we are aggressive. And because we're aggressive in how we move, we have the mindset of life is not fair. So there's no room for tears. There's no room for emotion. There's no room to be delicate and dainty. We out here trying to get it and be a boss.
But, I didn't mean to cut you off, but why is it that black women can have that standpoint? If that's the case, then when black men who go through the same adversity, you guys see us getting killed all the time on the news, drop a bomb on that, and you see that black men are literally being hunted. So then when a black man who has exceeded all expectations in life, right, has the same command when dealing with people, why is it he's met with such resistance for being the thing that you all say you want, a man? You see what I'm saying?
Well, if you want...
Because black women, you mean to tell me that black women, because they go through adversity, that gives them the right to be angry or direct, right? But so black men don't have the same right?
No, I think that our community has a lot...
See, these are good questions. You got to start... questions that we don't talk about in our community.
I think that the black community has a lot that we deal with. So naturally we're going to be angrier because we have systemic racism that oppresses us on a daily basis. I also think, and I'm going to throw it out here, I think that feminism is destructive to black women. And the reason,
and to black men.
And the reason being is that feminism has this approach of women got to be equal. We need to be on par and side by side and look at a man as an equal counterpart. But when it's all said and done, when feminism is being brought to the forefront, they're not thinking about black women. They're thinking about white women in particular. And when you look at the list, it goes white women, Asian women, Latino, and other brown women, and then black women are last. But I think that we somehow jump onto, yes, feminism and women's rights, that we kind of forget that, wait a minute, they're not really talking about me. And so we get left, because at the end of the day, when it comes to wealth and power, white women still voted for Donald Trump. There was an overwhelming percentage of white women who stood for Donald Trump. So if they really are about woman empowerment, why did they not vote for Hillary?
And this is after, keep in mind, they voted for him in crazy numbers. This is even after they heard comments like, grab them by the vagina. I'll try to be somewhat PG in my response. This is after he called people a nasty woman. Matter of fact, I remember right here in D.C., they had a whole march, all kind of feminist, led by white women, talking about, yeah, you know, I'm a nasty woman. They had the shirts, and they were protesting against Trump and all that. And then I only just want to know, where was all those voices and where was all that marching for Breonna Taylor from the feminist movement, specifically white women? I didn't see that. Where was the outcry from the feminist movement, specifically white women, when Sandra Bland was killed? See, I didn't hear that. You know who marched for Breonna Taylor and George Floyd? People like me at the March on Washington. It was a bunch of black folks there. It was a bunch of white folks there, sure. But it wasn't millions of women that were at the feminist march those years ago. They weren't present. There was a sprinkle of white folks there, a decent number. I would say maybe 15% of the participants located there that day were white. So, you know, and amens for them, because we need them in this fight against our rights. But I didn't see a large number of these people that jumped out there for when white women needed their rights. You see what I'm saying? And these are the things you got to ask yourself when we jump into this feminist movement. Is it really benefiting our people and women, as if our sisters, especially if you're going to be part of the feminist movement? We're not saying don't leave it, but we're saying if you're going to be part, at least help mold the conversation to work for all women. Challenge your white sisters and say, hey, look, y'all, we're down for the feminist movement. We believe in equal play. We believe in equal rights. We believe that a woman should be able to dress whatever kind of way and not be assaulted by a man. But we need y'all to be just as loud when Breonna Taylor gets killed in her home with no justice.
So I want to react, and I want to read some comments. So Lana says, when black men are being killed and women speak out, when it's us, we were deserving somehow. I do agree with Lana that when black men get killed, there's definitely more outcry, more support. And then when black women get killed, it's kind of like it creates a small buzz, but it's not as impactful as, at least.
I mean, we marched up and down the street for Breonna Taylor and George Floyd. They said, say their names, Breonna Taylor, George Floyd.
There is a huge difference.
I was there.
No, there is a difference.
We were ticked about
I have
both.
to agree with Lana. There is a huge difference. Chris said the history of black people in this country has a huge impact on our relationships. Aaron, during the conversation, Karen said, we absolutely are more loyal. I think we have to unlearn being so strong, which can be seen as combative amongst other negative things. Karen also said, that way we can embrace being more feminine and soft. Karen said, feminism is not the black woman's plight. That's the white woman's movement. And then Chris said, in this country, you are a black first. So following Christopher's statement, in this country, you are black first, and understanding that being feminine, as black women, we don't have an opportunity to be feminine. I think that this conversation, on top of the many ones we've had on the Nitty Gritty show, is always like this battle of black women versus black men. And what it all comes down to is that our ego and all the things that are surrounding us need to get out the way. When we go back to the 60s, we had to lean on one another because that's all we had. We didn't have all these movements and all these different support groups. All we had was black. It didn't matter if you were a doctor, if you were a janitor, you were black, I'm gonna support you. With that being said, how we as a people get ahead in this country is that we have to join together. We need more black men and more black women in relationship and married with one another. Why? Well, 2 incomes is always better than 1, right? Also, if you have 2 people who are voting in alignment for a particular movement or law, that's better than having divisiveness in your house. Also, when we are procreating under one black roof, now our numbers are also going to continue to be moving because, as you know, the Latino community are consistently, procreating.
Talk about that.
And the more people you have, the more people who can vote and support your movement. I hate to make it a numbers game, but that's really the fact of the reality. So all of this, I don't need a man and I ain't going to accept nothing, whether you realize it or not, is going to hurt the black plight and us improving. And all this black, I'm going to just be out here with my boys and I'm going to just be spreading my seed everywhere, that's hurting the black plight. Accountability is both on black men and black women. Basically, both of y'all need to get y'all ish together. Is relationship hard work? Yes. Is it easy? No. Does it mean you're going to have to accept some things you don't want to accept? Yes. Does it mean you're going to have to compromise and get up in therapy? Yes. But this is the work that we need to do if we really want to be about the black agenda. You can't be about the black agenda if you're not about black family.
So, and I'm about to put some stats down about black marriage and black family here in a second, but I wanted to read something that Herman said. He said, angry black men are always going to be held to a different standard. They are still a threat to the Western world, whereas an angry black woman, they will be tolerated for the most part. I thought that was a key point.
Yeah, and then Chris, when he said you are black first, and then Karen said you were absolutely right, Christopher. You were black first before anything else. Christopher, that's so funny you say that because I have to tread lightly with this.
Yeah.
There are some movements that feel you are other things before you are black first. And I think when we walk into situations not realizing that we're judged being black first, it confuses our purpose for the rights we are trying to receive.
Yep. I think, and I'll use this example. If I were married to a white woman, right, you wouldn't be able to see, based off the choice that I've made and who I decide to love, that I'm married to a white woman. You would just see a black man first. It would be after the fact that maybe through conversation or getting to know me that you would be able to find out like, oh, he's married to a black woman or he's married to a white woman. But there's no way just looking at me by myself, laying in the ground, walking down the street, that you can know for sure if I'm married to a white woman or a black woman, right? Unless I have it somehow announced because I have said woman next to me. All right? I think you guys get where I'm going with that. So I just feel like, yeah, black comes first. To go to some stats on marriage, because I think this is important, right? Just let's look at the numbers, guys. I don't know how you're going to feel about them, but these are the numbers. I actually did cite my resource. This is from Pew Research in the 2020 census.
Okay.
All right? Black men marry in their own community at a higher rate than anything else. Everybody always acts like all the men are marrying outside of race. That's not true. And 50% of black men will get married.
50?
50.
Okay.
Whereas only half that number of black women will get married. Only 15% of marriages, period, in the U.S. are mixed race. And actually the exact number is 15.1% of all marriages are mixed race, meaning most people at a rate of around 85% tend to marry within their community. White with white, Asian with Asian, Latino with Latino, black with black. There are 41.5 million white couples in America. And of course, they have the largest numbers, but there's literally 41.5 million white couples. Next to them.
Wait. You said white couples have the largest numbers, meaning they've dedicated on paper
that they're together.
And they're the top group.
They're the top group.
Okay.
41.5 million white couples in America. Next to them are Hispanic couples. That number is significantly different. Now we know also part of that is percentage of their race in America, but still there are only 7.5. Mind you, we dropped from 41.5 million down to 7.5 million Hispanic couples. That means Latino with Latino.
So I'm not great at math, but to me that looks like what? Almost like 30 million more?
Yeah. Okay. A little more than 30 million more.
Okay.
That number is literally that's like 6 times more than the next person down. Then if we look at all mixed couples, that means all combinations. That means Asian and Jewish, Mexican and black, that's Asian and Latino, you name it. All mixed couples, period. only 4.6 million mixed couples in America. That accounts for all combinations you could think of. Next to that is then black people at 4.1 million black couples. This is black on black, y'all. That means that
legally
goes,
married.
And for y'all that be tripping, that means light skin with dark skin and dark skin, brown skin and brown skin. That means Steph Curry, LeBron James and his wife, all the combinations.
And
black and black.
Legally married, because in our community we let us say somebody married and they ain't never been down to the.
It is so surprising how many people I meet who claim they married and you find out they not married.
They ain't got the paperwork.
They got no paperwork to back it up.
All right.
So, and then keep in mind, there's 4.1 million black couples in America. There's only 33.5 black million people in America, right? Period. So of that, only 29% of black people are actually married of eligible age. 29% are married.
So that means that all the agendas and all the other political movements that are out here are a direct offense to the black family. And when you look back,
we can see the results that is breaking up black families.
When you look back at the numbers 60s, they said that there was more economic, political, and financial power. Back in the day when we didn't have nothing, all we had was one shoe, two shoes. They said we had more power back in the 60s than we do now.
And we were married at a much higher rate in the 60s.
So, in the story, without being long-winded, black men and black women, get your ish together. You need to be married. Period, point blank. You need to be married if you want to see true change. All this independent, and I ain't gonna settle for nothing. Go back home, open your Bible, humble yourself, and get people back into church and really start paying attention to what's happening. Because the reality is, white people, despite if they decide to have swinging situations, or if they decide to, well, I cheat on my husband, I cheat on my, or whatever, they have generational wealth because they are married and they stay married. They understand the power of marriage and what that means to political decisions, to financial decisions, and how to get ahead. We are not getting married. The biggest issue we have with the movement, all this, join the community and yada yada, none of that matters if you ain't married. You start, the power starts from family, building family together, a man and a woman, empowering their kids, making them get in line with their political beliefs, making them start early with understanding who they are and what they need to vote for and how they need to move in society. All this ray hitting the streets, ain't never had no accountability, no whoopings, mama out at the club. It no longer can be an independent thinking game. It's got to be family first. That's your first agenda. Your first line of attack is family first. If you don't get in line with that, you ain't getting in line with the black movement at all. You can't get ahead without black family.
Your foundation starts at home, plain and simple. I will read two more stats too, because this is important. Black men, because we're talking about holding each other down. So let me just talk about some of those numbers, what they mean as far as mixed races. I know women are salivating at the mouth, saying, "Well, Juan, you didn't say this, you didn't say that."
A whole lot of people don't fill out the census, take it with a grain of salt.
Okay, but the people. Well, no, I ain't even gonna go there right now today. I was about to be.
No, I don't know if that's like the actual numbers, but I can tell you, I'm not trying to be like ignorant, but I don't know many people in the black community running around saying, "I'm getting married." I know a lot more. I know more single women than I know married women. From where I stand,
the census numbers don't lie for the most part, and they're pretty. Even if you don't get every single number, there's enough participation to get the gist of it. And if you didn't participate in the census, you only hurt yourself. We had a whole show about this in the Nitty Gritty show. When you fill out the census, that's how they decide how they're going to give monies to your local municipalities in your states. That's going to help schools, build jobs, attract more corporate locations and businesses, the expanding of houses and infrastructure and things of that nature. So if you didn't fill out the census, I don't want to hear no conspiracy theories, because you're only hurting your community that you didn't get involved with the census. So for those that didn't fill it out, or if you know people that didn't fill it out, you should be chastising them to participate in the 2030 census, because they only do it every 10 years.
I know this sounds crazy, y'all. And I'm not telling you to go out here with your love life and do this, but you got to think about it this way. If you're paying rent by yourself, think about, man, let me team up with somebody. Think about it as if you a woman paying rent by yourself versus you having a roommate. You think about how much you can save. Well, if I have a man there who can work with me, and the thing is, relationships take hard work, and I think that the reality is the hard work becomes so overbearing that we just say we're done with it. Chris said a whole lot let me go back to his comment. He said that's because people are so anxious to be done with the race conversation that these other movements are serving their own political purposes. Deidre was like shocked by the numbers. Lana said in regards to black marriage, they're all in Atlanta, DC, Houston, New York, and LA. Chris said that's because so many people are anxious to be done with the race conversation. And it's true.
Hold on, let me go into some numbers real quick.
Okay.
Because I was getting to this. Black men only marry outside their race at a rate of 24%. Now we are twice as likely to marry outside of our race.
Black men?
Black men over women.
Black men, say it again. I just want to say it again.
All right.
Come again.
So black men marry outside their race at a rate of 24%. Black women marry outside their race at a rate of 12%. So they're more loyal when they actually do marry, because only 25% of y'all get married in the first place. But when y'all actually do marry, you're a little bit more loyal. Let me break down what those numbers mean, all right? Before y'all start patting yourself on the back too heavily. If there's 100 of you in the room, only 25 of you getting married, all right? Then, of the 25 of you getting married, only 2 or 3 of you will actually marry outside of your race. But at the same time, keep in mind, of the 25 of y'all that got married, only 20 of y'all are going to end it in a matter of 5 years. All right? So you got to think about that. Men, black men, you can all find this at the U.S. Census and Pew Research. Black men, we marry at a rate of 50%. So that means you have 100 black men in a room, 50% of them getting married, right? Of that, 36 of them are going to marry black women, 24% of them, so that breaks down to about, maybe like 11 or 12 of them are going to marry outside their race. All right? So with that, you're still getting more black men creating financial foundations and stuff like that for black women. So when you break down the numbers for what it really means, keep that in mind. I get it. We should be more loyal like you guys are, but we're not. Now here's some other numbers you got to bring up so we understand what it looks like in comparison to everything else. The most loyal to their own are white people. White people marry at a rate of 12% for the guys to their own, 10% for the women. So the women there are even more loyal, but there's only a 2% margin of difference. Hispanics are more likely than any other group to marry outside their race altogether. Men at about a rate of 26% and women at a rate at 28%. Then you look at Asians and 36% of their women, so basically 1 in 3 Asian women are going to marry outside their race. To a black guy, Latino guy, white guy, somebody. And even their men are still marrying at a rate of 21% outside of their race.
I want y'all to know from my stance, ideally I would like black women to be able to marry black men. But at this point in life, I want to see black women get ahead. So I don't care who you marry. I want you, if you marry a white man, good. I just want you to not struggle, sis. I want black women to have the same privilege as other women, being able to be feminine, being able
love
to
is
be
love.
cute, being able to not have to take the burden on by themselves. That is my message today. I just want to see more sisters having the opportunity to fall in love, to have a wedding, to feel worthy. And I think many of us don't feel worthy or feel loved or valued or attractive. So we naturally take that and then we embody in it, and it comes out in anger and aggression. So that is my end goal. I also so people said that doesn't seem accurate, seems higher on men's side. Deidre's laughing. The Latinos numbers are surprising according to Chris. He's also laughing saying not in Missouri. For me,
but yeah, look at the nation as a whole, right? Think about people like Ted Cruz, Rafael Eduardo Cruz. Never goes by that name.
But
matter of fact, legally he calls himself Rafael Edward Cruz, and he still doesn't use the name Rafael because it sounds too ethnic. So he goes by Ted. He literally took his name from Eduardo to the English definition Edward, and then cut it and said Ted. So that way, when you say Ted Cruz, you see a white guy. So keep in mind, there's a lot of other people out there ashamed of their ethnic backgrounds. We see this in the Asian community all the time. Mm-hmm. There are people in the Asian community that literally will walk around with umbrellas in the summertime so they don't tan. Mm-hmm. Because they also have a problem with colorism within their communities. So this pandemic of racism, and I call it a pandemic, it's what it is, has infected the whole world. And at least I can't fix the whole world, but I feel like I can have a conversation with my community that we could put aside some of our bull crap and start having healthy families again.
And your dad says, need to be married, go to church, get your stuff together. Yes, Katrina, you got my vote. He also says, ignorant people, of course, are not going to understand what the census can do for them. So I know we're getting ready to come to a close. I haven't been married long, so I don't want you guys to think that I'm just talking from an angle of privilege. Oh, you married, so you think you know everything. Listen, I am not in a position to know about longevity in marriage. I only been married about a month, and we got a long way to go. We've been having some Rocky Balboa moments already. So I'm in no position.
But that Rocky Balboa ain't nobody hitting nobody.
Okay, right. It ain't like that. But we got challenges already. But the point being is, I'm not in a position, sis or bruh, to tell you about how to sustain a marriage. Go seek the church. Go seek Mama and Papa Utar. Go talk to Mr. and Mrs. Hawkins. Shoot, you can talk to the McKitties before you talk to us, because at least they got a year or 2 years and some change under their belt.
And finally, you know what? And for married people, I'm gonna throw this out there. I'm gonna drop a bomb on this before I even say it, because that's how hot it is. Go find married couples to commune with. If you're married, you're going to have to spend time around married people. Actually, this is the two biggest life hacks. I just told my daughter this on the phone today. The two biggest life hacks in life is, one, you have to move away from where you are to go find success. Right? Jesus did it. David did it. Joseph did it.
Oh, Lana said correction. 3 years in the game. My bad, sis. Go ahead.
3 years in the game.
My bad.
But so life hack number one, you got to move away sometimes where you're from to go find success. Second life hack is you have to surround yourself around like-minded people towards where you're trying to go in life. If you want to be a lawyer, it might help you to have lawyer friends. You want to be a doctor, it may help you to be a doctor that have doctor friends. If you want to be a millionaire or an entrepreneur, it may help to surround yourself around entrepreneur and millionaire friends. And if you want to be married, and if you are married, both. I meant what I said. If you want to be married, and if you are married, you should be around married people. You should have married friends. The majority of the people you should deal with are married. The reason why is because as you guys go through life changes together, you guys will be like iron sharpening iron. So before you think divorce first, or before you think ladies' night first, or yeah, I think I need to go to the fellas, I need to go with the bros, we need to go to the strip club and have some man time. No. Get around some married men that will say, yeah, I don't think that's going to go well, bro. I don't think you should go to the strip club with the fellas. Might cause some problems. I don't think you should be looking at porn at that kind of level. Might be a problem. Maybe you should go talk to a therapist. You need to get around people who are going to be a positive influence on the things you want and the things you want to preserve.
Your daddy said, yes. Talking about us, long way to go. Sandra said, I love Mama Utar and Mr. Herman. I love you too, Sandra. That's so cute.
Sandra in the building. Drop a bomb for Baltimore.
Donna said, tear me up. Chris said, when I said not Missouri, I was saying there's a lot of interracial dating here. Well, from what I can see in Clarksville, Tennessee, there's a lot of interracial dating there.
You see it a lot around military towns because people get around people and they just start intermingling with people.
Deidre said it's hard to find men that want to get married. I know a lot of guys that say it's just paper. Lana said laugh out loud, or they were laughing at Rocky Balboa. In correction, the bikinis have been in the game for 3 years. What I will say is, as crazy as it sounds, if you live in an area where you know the men that you are dating are not your standard, I see nothing wrong with you making a conscious decision to say, I'm up and out, I'm moving away. I will be the first to say, and I don't care who come and throw shots at me. When I was living in Cleveland, the men that I were meeting were not at my standard. Period, point in the blank. I didn't understand them. They didn't understand me.
Had to come to DC, baby.
I came to DC, and it was a different ball game. So what I say is, sitting sedentary in your city is comfortable. I get it. But if you know you want to get married, and you know you want a man to make a certain amount of money, there's nothing wrong with saying, yo, I'm about to hit up Atlanta because I heard that's where it's at. Yo, I'm about to go to Houston. Try it out. You only live once. Try it out. Ain't nothing wrong with switching up your city to experience a new dating game.
Hunters and fishermen do it all the time. When they're looking for a certain result or an outcome, they go to where the deer go. Where they congregate. They go to where the fish are. And once again, I said it before, if you desire to be married, you need to be around married people.
I can tell you, sis and bruh, people in DC, it don't matter if you got a college degree or not, they're making good money. They're making good money.
Mm-hmm.
I can't. The cost of living here is expensive, but you will make more money. I can tell you that this area is a great area. If you
and we know a lot of married couples.
If you want to team up with somebody and say, I don't want to struggle, I can't tell you that they're gonna get down on one knee, but I can tell you that financially, this is a great area to date. Some last minute comments, and then I'll let you close with the shout outs. My cousin joined. What's up, Ryan? I won. I'm so sad you're not gonna be there in May. I want you to meet Juan. We're gonna have to connect. I'll hit you up because I think I'm coming to Jamaica next year. Lana said, married out of town, man. Married out of town. I'm telling you, don't stay in your city. Jump to another city, and you probably will be considered a breath of fresh air because you're gonna bring something different that's not local from what people are used to. And then Chris said, didn't understand them. So, if you got any last minute comments about today's show, drop them in the comment section. Juan's gonna go ahead and do our shout outs, and then y'all know what time it is. We only got an hour.
But before we get to our shout outs, I know we're running a little bit over. We had some issues with YouTube and Facebook earlier. So my bad, y'all. Y'all kind of missed the current news, and you kind of missed the just our opening sequence, and you missed, I guess, our opening music. But so you didn't really miss much. You came in I got you guys just in time for the main part of our conversation. I'm gonna end on the jam. Like I said, Versus is coming up this Saturday, May 8th. Xscape versus SWV. So of course I had to play this bop by SWV. I played Xscape earlier. Who do you run to? I thought that was a good theme considering we're talking about holding each other down. So who do you run to?
No, you're getting them confused.
Xscape is?
No. You played SWV.
Oh yeah, I made SWV earlier
and
here.
And now you're playing Xscape.
Because Love is right here. Yeah. But then I'm playing this. You're right. Yeah. I'm playing Xscape right now. Who do you run to? Because, I mean, who do we run to, y'all? Who's holding us down? Is it black men? Is it black women? I don't know. So who do you run to?
Hopefully it's together. I hope y'all holding each other down.
I hope we hold each other down, you know? So anyways, while they say
good show, time to say, listen, Katrina trying to get off.
Look, so anyways, let me do some shout outs real quick. I want to shout out Out of Control Bullies. They just dropped down some litters. I think they got some more litters coming. So if you want your
show, sound weird. It makes you sound like little pee boxes for cats. You mean dogs?
I mean, but that's what they call them, a litter of dogs.
I know, it just sound weird though.
Alright, but they just had some puppies.
There we go.
Alright,
there we go.
They just dropped some new puppies. So holler at Richard and Nathaniel Altar from Out of Control Bullies. Alright. Because they got some hot stuff dropping. Shout out to those Black Men Suit flash mobs. There was one in Atlanta. I think there was recently one in Houston. I think those are dope. I think we need more of those. I like seeing black men dress well. That's real dope stuff. Shout out to our cousin Tiffany Smith. Just got her master's in education from Bowling Green.
My baby.
Yeah. So shout out to her, and also shout out to there was one other person. Shout out to everybody graduation season right now. And there was someone specific that I know just got their master's degree, also in education.
And I want to
shout out to you.
Next year is going to be a really big year because Lana McKinney is about to get her doctorate. Jonine Ford about to get her doctorate.
Bunch of doctors up on the
We got some doctors. Dr. McKinney and Dr. Ford is next year. I'm front and center. Whoop, whoop,
doctors
whoop,
in the building.
Whoop, whoop. Celebrating both of my homies, my cousin and my friend.
Yeah, you right. Shout out on some birthdays. Shout out to my cousin Neil Cox. Stopped by yesterday to show him some love. Shout out to Kia Schuler. Shout out to Grace Park. Shout out to my man Cliff Ligon. HTTR baby all day long. Shout out to Dion Bussy Reader. Shout out to my man Reggie Colbert. Shout out to my cousin Nakia Mayo. Shout out to my man Hamed Siddiqui. Shout out to all the Muslims out there right now, and all the faith practitioners of Islamic faith. You're going through Ramadan. I think that ends May 12th. Shout out to all of y'all. Shout out to Franklin Baffert. Celebrating his birthday, I think technically tomorrow. Shout out to Dale Brooks. Shout out to Angela DeCosta. And shout out to my man Sean Bates. Also, we was talking about marriages and stuff today, but we got some people that just got married today. So shout out to Mr. and Mrs. Stallworth. Shout out to Craig and Anissa. And then also we got some folks celebrating anniversaries this weekend. So shout out to Frank and Sabrina Durfee. Shout out to Nicole and Mark Martin. And also a personal favorite of mine, shout out to Eric and Wanda Smith celebrating 41 years. Kingdom Fellowship Marriage Ministry. And
Chris says, cause I got you. Chris says this is Salah's first show. She didn't watch, but she heard y'all. So hey, baby Salah, we can't wait to meet you.
That's good, princess. So look, that's our show. We were happy you guys were here with us. Oh, hold up. I gotta pay some bills though. I gotta pay some bills. So I want y'all to remember at the same time. Make sure y'all support the Nitty Gritty Show. Listen, we got www.squadlocker.com. You have to look up in the search the Nitty Gritty Show. You gotta say the whole thing like a Tribe Called Quest. The Nitty Gritty Show. Buy some merch. We got partnerships with Rydell. We got partnerships with Under Armour. We got partnerships with Adidas. I'm just saying, we got everything you need. Polos. We got shirts. We got caps. We got pullovers.
Yeah, we do.
Yo, get yourself some merch. And if you still want a coffee mug, get us in the comments. We still got some of those.
And if you once you purchase it, make sure you add us. We'll post you. We'll shout you out because we're trying to get, people to rock the Nitty Gritty Show out and about. It's a conversation. And we welcome everybody to be a part of the conversation.
And keep in mind, we got more content coming out. Soapbox will hit this week. It was supposed to hit last week, technical difficulties. Music Mondays, that's dropping tomorrow, 9 p.m. We go live on IG only on IG for right now. We're having Music Mondays where we discuss the latest music, how we feel about it. If you're on there, you want to go live with me, jump with me on IG. We'll talk music for a little while, right here on the Nitty Gritty Show.
And why we can't bring the camera in May and get some soapbox up in Cleveland?
All right, and if you're in Cleveland and you want to get on the soapbox, hit us up. We'll bring the camera. We'll try to bring the background as well, and we'll get you on the camera and you could be featured on the soapbox. So if you're in Cleveland, hit us up. We'd be happy to do something with you, for real. That was a good call. I like that. But anyways, we out of here. So it's your boy, Jay DeCosta.
It is your girl, Kat.
And together we are the Nitty Gritty. We out and drop a bomb on that. Yeah.
Thank y'all so much for tuning in. Make sure y'all comment. I want to know who holds you down, black men or black women. Do y'all agree with us about marriage? Let us know.
Let me know your thoughts.
Peace.